flag of the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll call this evening's meeting to order. First, we have some employee presentations, introductions.
Good evening. It's become a habit. It's 30 month room. I'm here to introduce two of our newest employees. First off, up is Officer Jacob Lyles. We hired him back in September 11th of 2023. He's finally out of the academy and back in Paola, full time now. So, Officer Lyles comes to us from the private sector. And he's decided to start a career in law enforcement a little later in life. So we're happy for that because it brings maturity to our young officers, because we've had a lot of young officers over the years. So definitely brings that to patrol division. He's completed his police academy, which is 12 weeks long or 14 weeks long. And he's now in his third phase of FTO. So each phase is approximately 4 weeks long. And then after the third phase, he's got one more phase and it's 2 weeks long, and then he'll be out on his own. So I'm sure he's happy not to be driving back and forth to Hutch every weekend. And we are glad to have him back. I'm sure Officer Lyles will accomplish great things in his career here. Next.
Could you say his name again? I didn't.
Jacob Lyles.
Thank you.
Yep. Tina Thompson is our new assistant court clerk, administrative assistant. She was hired on January 8th of 2024. And she has a background in dispatch. She was a dispatcher for 38 years. So she's got well-rounded in law enforcement, what we do, some of the paperwork that is involved, NCIC, all that data type stuff. So she is a huge asset for us. She originally started her career in Overland Park, went to Boulder, Colorado, and then ended her career at KU Hospital PD. And she currently lives here in Paola. Lived here for about 2 years with majority of her direct family. So we are looking forward to everything that she's going to do and taking off a lot of the work from 3 other people that were doing her job. Gonna bill her extremely.
Thank you. Welcome to you both. Glad to have you. All right, next we have the consent agenda. And we do that whenever you go. Yeah, he asked about roll call. Oh. And I said we just do it when we vote the first time. Okay. Did we have any questions on the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion?
I so move to approve the consent agenda as presented and authorize the mayor to sign.
I second.
McMahon,
Aye.
Hayes.
Aye.
Peckman,
Aye.
Shields.
Aye. All right, motion passed. Thank you. Next, we have comments from the public. Is there anyone that needs to speak on anything not on the agenda? No. All right. Next, we have new business. First, the 2024 property liability and auto insurance renewal, which Stephanie and Elliot worked very hard on.
Yes, that is up for renewal April 1st. So after we discussed that work study, Jay Hastert was able to get me the new proposal that showed the reduction in the 100% property replacement to the 90%. And there's also that option to lower our deductible from the wind hail from 75,000 to 50,000. So that along with able to get our renewal premium to 196,122, which is in our budget. So that's great. Pretty much everything stayed the same as last year. There weren't really any big changes, so. You have any questions?
Do you have any questions on this?
To comment. Every year, this is a scary proposition when they come up. And you did a lot of work on this to get it down. I really appreciate that. You're in budget, that's good.
Any other questions or comments? If not, is there a motion?
I move to approve the insurance renewal provided by EMC Insurance Companies through Elliott Insurance Group in the amount of $196,122 for the coverage year of April 1st, 2024 to March 31st, 2025.
Second,
McMahon,
Aye.
Hayes.
Aye.
Beckman.
Aye.
Shields.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. All right, next we have the tiny home CUP for 1004 North Pearl, ordinance number 3220, and this is for my father's house.
Yeah, so at a February 20th, 2024 meeting, the Salem Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend the approval of the conditional use permit 24-CUP-01 to develop a tiny home cluster development at 1004 North Pearl Street. According to the land development ordinance, this type of use requires a CUP in the thoroughfare access zone district. There were members of the public that spoke at this public hearing. All of them were in support of the project. Nobody had any concerns that they raised during the meeting. As for zoning, table 3, 110A, the general use table states that tiny home cluster development is an allowed use in the thoroughfare access zoning district under a conditional use permit. For review, conditional uses are activities that are seen as generally appropriate for the zoning district, but due to their nature, require special consideration to limit negative impacts to surrounding properties. Therefore, a CUP provides site-specific zoning regulations for that particular use at a specific location. Staff's recommendation is to approve ordinance 3220 with the following conditions as discussed at February Planning Commission meeting. Roads will be maintained at all times by the property owner to allow access to emergency vehicles. Parking should be limited to off-street parking only. No tiny homes will be allowed on wheels. And at any time, the city may institute revocation of the conditional use permit for violations of the conditions of approval, expiration, or reasons specified in section 21-225 of the land development ordinance. The city shall provide notice to the landowner and public in the same manner as it was provided for the establishment of the conditional use permit. City staff has found that the application is consistent with section 21-220 of the LDO and will not be detrimental to the health, safety, or general welfare of the community. I believe Ms. Fields, you had raised some concerns with the city manager. You had raised some concerns with the city
Yes.
manager that you had. She forwarded those along to me. I've handed out some, given you guys some handouts that kind of go over the difference between a CUP and the site plan review. It appears most of your concerns will be taken care of during site plan review.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I wanted to say that I am not opposed to cluster tiny homes. They are a sign of our times, and Paola has had tiny houses since the early 1900s, houses that are less than 1,000 square feet. They were owner occupied or rented, and now these tiny homes will be paid for by the federal government. Paola, if this passes and we get cluster homes, we will be one of the first cities in our area to have cluster housing. What my concern is in the ordinance that we passed in June 13th, 2023. Number 2, the second thing on the list says a site plan is submitted and approved by the planning commission and the city council.
Yes,
I attended the planning commission meeting and I don't know if they had a site plan that they went by or not. I have not seen one.
so you've received the concept site plan, correct?
That,
I know that's not.
that looked like something that a kindergartner would have, drawn.
So the conditional use permit, if it's approved tonight, still won't go into effect until the site plan is approved.
But why haven't we, according to what we voted on in June, why haven't we already received a site plan?
It comes after this.
It
That
comes
is
out,
right.
and according to the
Well,
LDO,
that
they
is what it
have,
says here.
okay, according to the LDO, which is language that's already in there before that ordinance was approved. You have, the CUP has 6 months to abide by all of those regulations before it is considered discontinuance. So they have essentially 6 months to get their site plan approved through planning commission and council.
Okay, and then going to the CUP. My main concern with the CUP is my father's house, the Pinecrest Street going into my father's house is a private street. And it's owned by my father's house and the parking in front. There has been the parking lot has never been a really nice parking lot that was poured and it's got gravel on it. It's not what we would approve. And I can go, and what I'm going by is recently Taylor Forge, they are building a new facility down there and their requirement for their parking lot is that all parking lots shall be paved with concrete paving blocks, asphalt, or other weather service. Gravel is not permitted on their parking lot. And that was in their CUP.
No, ma'am, they don't have a CUP. They've had a site plan approval. So you're comparing apples to oranges here. They have an existing concrete parking lot. So Taylor Forge does not have a CUP.
Well, they do have a nice parking lot. And
Which was
my
existing, so when
concern,
they added,
Okay.
when they went through the whole process, it was an existing parking lot.
All
So
right,
yes, it
and
had to
then-
have- Go back to what was
Okay.
existing.
what I'm getting at is, I feel like that we need to address the parking lot and the street going in. The street is not up to city code. It's not been taken care of. It's full of potholes. The parking lot is gravel. I would like to see put into the CUP that the parking lot and the drive going in has to be brought up to city standards within a year. We've done that with others. We've done that with, we did that with, Southern Eats. They were going to have to pave their parking lot up to a year after they bought it. Of course, they went out of business. And, Cross Point Church had to pave their parking lot. And they had a certain amount of time to do it in. And also for Design, which was at the top of the hill, that they were gonna have U-Hauls parked in the back. They were supposed to have it paved according to meet city specifications within a year. My concern is that in the CUP, we could put in there that all the parking lot and the streets need to be brought up to standards of the city within a year. And, I think there should be a sidewalk out there going to, there's no place for these people to walk. And, it's been suggested that we even put a signal light, where a signal light where the person can hit the, walk button and residents from my father's house can walk across, Old Casey Road or North Pearl. I just think I think there's some things that need to be added to this CUP that, I think there should also be, I think we should also have a boundary line survey done on the whole property. I question the road that goes around the south end to the back of the property. I don't know if a fire truck or an ambulance could get through there or not. There isn't much room there from the boundary on the south. The property, I think that we need to have a state boundary line survey done on the property.
Leanne, I think a lot of your concerns, actually most of them are site plan things.
So, I think Mayor House is correct. So as far as access and street and standards and everything like that, it's part of site plan. Now, when you were talking about Southern Eats and Cross Point, those are not CUPs. Those are for change of uses. So they would have to comply with current regulations. So again, apples and oranges.
Okay,
But
apples and
I do
oranges.
believe you have valid concerns, but those would all be addressed during site plan review, which would come after this.
Okay, all I know is when I read this, that what we passed, the second item on here is a site plan is submitted and approved. It doesn't, the CUP doesn't come
Okay,
before
how about
that.
this? We can solve this easily. As a condition, you can say that, contingent upon required of approved site plan by council and planning commission.
Yeah,
I think that is a.
we can
legit-
say it,
Okay.
we can do it that way, even
Yeah,
though I feel
but
like
it
it's
is a
very
CUP.
redundant.
Oh, it's just
Well-
reiterating what's in there. If that satisfies you, I think that's a different, decent compromise.
With all due respect, I understand your concerns, but there's just a process that has to happen in order for it to get to the site plan. We have to vote on it, approve it before we get to the next point. There's no point in spending the time and the money and the hours to develop a site plan if we all say, no, we're not gonna do this. That's when you get into construction of something huge like this. There's a process and you have to go through each step in an order, and that will come after we vote tonight. That will be.
And I understand that,
Well-
but what I'm going by is the ordinance number 3205.
I know, I voted on
And
that.
on here, there is no CUP listed before the site plan. Maybe we got this wrong.
No, it just says the site plan will be approved by planning commission and council,
And I haven't
which it
seen-
will be.
But I haven't seen a
But
site.
it's not, we're not to that step yet.
But
As
the
as soon as we get to that step, it will go through the planning commission and then come to us.
I appreciate you bringing that up, because maybe we need to make that.
Well, and it says
Because we
here-
wrote it as we interpret the LDO, like how staff interprets the LDO. Because like I said, it's already in there that they have 6 months to get a site plan approval after a CUP. So I appreciate you bringing that up. We can amend that later in the future to make sure the process matches exactly what it said,
Okay.
other than staff just.
Number D, the first thing on this ordinance says D, tiny home, single family cluster developments may be considered for a conditional use permit if the following standards are met.
Yes.
So we've got to meet all these
So the intent,
before I approve a CUP.
so I wasn't part of the process for the planning commission when it started. And the intent of planning commission was if the CUP was approved, it would be required then to follow up with the site plan.
Yes.
So I can
I
understand
think the
why.
wording should be a little bit.
And that's what you
And-
said.
and-
Thank
yes,
you.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. We can always amend that, so
Okay.
it comes more clear. Thank you.
And I think that we could have some addition put on the CUP.
If you guys want to make that motion, or someone wants to make that motion, that is up to your
I
discretion.
think we handle that at the site plan.
Yeah, Mayor, I had a couple of questions.
Yep, go ahead. And I know Gabe is here.
Well, yeah, well, I'm gonna call you on the second game, so just prep for.
And part of this preliminary concept, it's supposed to look basic,
It's supposed to what?
look very basic. Yeah. So I can.
But I'm just going by our ordinance, three two oh
I mean,
five.
the reason it's not super specific yet is because it's the concept plan.
Yeah, I'll jump in on this, if it's okay, Mayor.
Yep, go ahead.
Needless to say is, and I've done some of this in the past, and I wouldn't mess with it too much, but the fact of the matter is, you got an applicant out there. And the applicant's gonna send, and whether it's government money or it's any kind of money, to go from this, which is a concept. And I'm gonna ask a couple questions, Peppercorn, here in a second, to go to a full set of plans, which is page after page, and it has everything that it takes, and you're talking literally tens of thousands of dollars. The way that I see the concept is over here is why would we make a CUP user go out and spend tens of thousands of dollars, show up with a site plan, and we're going like, yeah, we just don't like it. The goal of it is to come up with rudimentary that looks like this. And then afterwards, once they get the CUP, now they have the go ahead to do it. And with that, Mayor, I'd like to talk to two people today, this morning, this afternoon. Is a representative of the applicant out there today?
Beth is here, Beth Waddle's here,
Yeah, Beth, could you please come up?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
and ask away because I know she knows her stuff.
You know, Beth, this is kind of an opportunity for you to tell us about your project. And it isn't a huge part of the CUP, but it's apparently, this is a project that's got very passion and people really want to look at it. Could you please tell the council, once this starts to get to going, what your goal is with these tiny houses?
Perfect. So, a little background is that, since 2006, My Father's House Community Services has operated a transitional housing shelter for the homeless, at that address, the 1004 North Pearl. And so we have served, almost 800 people from our community who found themselves homeless and, have done that through a variety of means. One primary means of support, we have a federal grant from HUD that helps support that program. And we also receive a lot of community support for what we do. And through 18 years of serving folks who are without housing, some of the things that we have seen most are the challenges in transitioning out of the shelter into safe, affordable housing. And we often see people who maybe get a Section 8 voucher and that voucher expires because they can't find a place to use it. In Miami County, we have the lowest vacancy rate of any Southeast Kansas county. They lump us in with Southeast Kansas when they do the housing assessments for the state. So that means we also have the highest median rental rates of any Southeast Kansas county. And so a lot of times when families or individuals are transitioning out of homelessness, it is nearly impossible for them to find a place here in our community to rent something that's affordable for them. We work with a lot of people who are on disability or even are of retirement age and are on Social Security. And unless you have ways to supplement that income or you can wait out the waits for subsidized housing, it's really difficult to get into permanent housing. And so one of the things that we've seen over the last 18 years is definitely a need for additional units in our community. Some of the folks that we work with are what I would consider vulnerable for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes they have disabilities that make them vulnerable. Sometimes just the lack of good supports makes them vulnerable. And one of the things that we have done in the shelter is we take a very relational approach to serving people. And we have seen that people really need community to thrive. They need folks that they can relate to and that they can depend on and that they can, where they can help each other out some. And so we want to take that attitude from the shelter and continue it in to create this community. This isn't just housing units. They're not, it's not just a place to stay for a while. We want to create homes where people who are transitioning into housing can live affordably. We want to be able to subsidize those so that somebody's not spending 80 or 90% of their income on rent and utilities. And so that's really the dream for this tiny homes community is to have an opportunity for folks who maybe need that little bit of extra support to have a place where they get that, whether it's from each other because they're in a community, or whether it's from staff providing supports and supportive services. And so that's really the dream there. And because of the location, it's really a relatively protected area on our property. We're bordered by fields on either side. And so it really has the opportunity to be kind of a protected community where folks who are maybe a little bit more vulnerable have some extra support and some protections from people who may take advantage of them.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Beth while she's up there?
I have two more people I want to talk to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mr. Peppercorn, could you please come up?
Hello, Gabe Peppercorn, 109 East Ottawa, Paola, Kansas.
Mr. Peppercorn, I just got a couple of questions for you. When I looked at the site and I seen their site plan and took a look at it, it looks like it has some challenges on it when it's all said and done. And it's really two questions. This can be brought to life and put in that area over there. You have confidence that you can build on that site what this will look like?
Certainly.
Okay. Number two is, could you explain to us just a little bit, because I'm not an engineer, nor do I profess to be an engineer, that the difference, at least for me, because I want to make sure that the council understands the difference between what is a concept plan and what a site plan is.
Certainly. So I'm here as a member of the community, but to lend professional credence to the project. So with that in mind, I'm donating my time. So what we want to know is conceptually, do we like where this is located? Do the neighbors like it? Does it fit with the community that's already there? We want to give adjacent landowners an opportunity to voice concerns or things of that nature. To this point, we've had a lot of positive feedback. There are some challenges with the site. Pinecrest is certainly one of them. That we will be asking for help from the city with, quite honestly. So yeah, here to lend professional credence to the project. So with that, I'll open to your question.
Basically, it was all right in my summation of it's going to be tens of thousands, if it was done in no donation time, that the applicant would have to put forth tens of thousands of dollars to do a site plan.
So certainly, this is not a unique development. It's a development unlike any other, very similar to when Casey's was built. That required a CUP. Once the CUP was obtained, then we did much more detailed site plans for each of those developments as they came forward. But initially, it required a CUP. So, this is not unique unto the applicant or to their business model. It is very analogous to the process that we followed a couple years ago when that development was going on as well. So while it is unique and that is a tiny home development, which this is the first in the area and the first to make use of this design concept, it's not a difficult development per se. The land does have its challenges. The site has its challenges from an access standpoint. However, it's naturally sloping. It's not overly hilly from a stormwater runoff standpoint. We did look at those logistics initially before we brought it to CUP, because that's some of the things that we want to make sure is, if we develop this, where can we go with the stormwater? So, and then this side, it lends itself well to that as well. We did some conceptual layouts, really just to get a population density to try to figure out road-wise, again, how much runoff we're gonna have, things of that nature. So I'd say the due diligence has been done. We've done the first 10%, but the last 90 comes after the adjacent landowners, the community, the city council all says we think that this is a good idea at this location. So the next piece, and we have a really good feeling about the site, so we've actually pulled the trigger on the survey. So that's one of the big ticket items. That's the $10,000 plus is to go hire a local surveyor like Alabama Drews. And a lot of that due diligence is trying to figure out who actually owns Pinecrest and how did that come to be. And it is, just from an engineering standpoint, that's one of the more unique scenarios I've seen is how were those residents allowed to become landlocked? So that's one question that I appreciate you bringing up, Mrs. Shields, is that is one of the logistical concerns that we are going to need help with the city in making that a correct scenario. So, yeah, I hope I haven't well on your question.
No, you have. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I agree with you, but my biggest concern has been the parking lot and the street. And the road that goes around the south end, which will be traveled by trucks taking supplies back to the building of the tiny homes and all that. And I'm glad to know that you are in the process of doing a survey. I'm still going back to his ordinance 3205. If the wording had been different on this, I would have not been concerned. But we will have to look and change the wording as far, because as a layperson, the way I read this, it says that a conditional use permit can be done after the following are met. And that's why I have brought this up tonight, because I'm concerned that the street is not up to code, parking lot is not, and it needs to be dealt with along with building the homes in the back. So anyway, I appreciate what you said.
Hey, Commissioner Shields, would you be agreeable to take this 3205, move it into our next work session, allow staff time to kind of look at it and review it and not put the onus on our applicant that we have here today?
It'll have to go to
Well,
planning commission.
yeah,
Well, can we talk about it, city manager?
Sure, but, recommendations to change it usually come from planning commission because it's LDO.
I
But we
mean,
can send it to planning commission for them to look at the next meeting too.
Yeah.
just
I think
to
that would probably be the
just
best
to
direction.
clarify the wording.
Yep, I think
Yes.
that would probably be the best direction to do that.
would that be agreeable to you?
Yeah, I
Okay.
would be. And maybe I'm looking at it and reading it.
I just, I mean,
And I mean, they may
I-
look at it and see it, because like they said, they know the whole,
but we
thing.
have, but we have an applicant out here that's followed all the processes.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
have a planning commission that follow all the processes, I think at this point. That goes back to the planning commission or however avenue the city manager wants to do it. And with that, I'm prepared to vote.
does anybody else have any questions for Gabe if he was up there? No? Or anybody have any questions or comments about it? Thank you, Gabe.
I have some comments, but, just because, as Kurt Waddle knows, and I'm not gonna get emotional, but I remember when we started that over there, and I am so proud to get to say that and to see what these two here have done. And they had some trials, didn't you? I mean, they hit some roadblocks. This ain't nothing, right? You guys have stood the test of time. I mean, God knows, and so does Jesus. I mean, this is supposed to happen. This is supposed to happen. And I'm so excited. It is gonna be with some trials. Cause you already have said, this is the first community of this such in this area and maybe statewide, I don't know. So we're gonna be looked at, we're gonna be referred to, we're gonna be viewed, and I am so excited about that too. We're gonna have to figure some stuff out.
Well, I think it's wonderful. I just
You're just-
was going off of this.
I don't disagree with you, but I just know
And,
that we're not gonna be able to answer it all the time
No.
because that's not the how you go.
I don't care how we get there. I just want it done right.
It's gonna be done
That's
right.
fine. Yep. All right,
Then how is our motion gonna go?
just as it is.
As in.
Yep, because that's the only item up right now is the CUP.
Can I make a stab at making the motion?
Yep.
Do you want to do it? I'll let you do it. Go ahead.
Mr. and Mrs. Waddle? I move to motion to adopt ordinance number 3220, approving the conditional use permit 24-CUP-01 with conditions for the tiny home cluster development at 1004 North Pearl Street, my father's house applicant.
I'll second that motion, Ms. Mayor.
Thank you.
McMahon,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Beckman,
Yeah, aye.
Shields,
Aye.
All right, motion passed.
Just friends.
It's a done deal.
All right, next we have mural regulations, ordinance number 3221. Just kind of some housekeeping stuff really on this.
Yeah, so we went over this at work study. We're trying to spark some interest in our downtown, so we thought we'd go after some mural grants in partnership with the Halo Commission Tourism Committee. So, when staff was reviewing our current mural regulations, there are a few things we needed to update. So, the main updates would be mainly definition of an actual mural. And that, we are proposing to designate the Halo Commission Tourism Committee as the official review board for this Halo City Council's final recommendation for all murals at this point in time. But everything else, like I said, is just housekeeping. We took out that it has to have historical significance and historical theme. If that's the preference that the committee wants to do, that's fine. We're just not going to put it in our regulation. So that is the main amendments that we're proposing.
Any questions or comments on this? If not, is there a motion?
I move to adopt ordinance number 3221, amending Article 7, murals of the Pale Municipal Code.
I'll second it.
McMahon,
Aye.
Hayes. Beckman,
Aye.
Shield.
Aye.
Motion approved, thank you. And we sent out several letters of interest for murals to property owners around the downtown. So we're hoping we get some interest. Maybe we'll get to use our new.
I like the circus one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
We also have the side of City Hall if they all fall through.
Yes.
That's always possible. We were looking at that the other day, so.
There's a grant right now available through the state, to help cover the cost, so
Nice.
thought we'd check and see if anybody wants to do it. Next, the asphalt bids for 2024 street improvement program.
Yes, you want me to take? Okay, all right, so Public Works Director Kirk Reese over here, put together the proposed street improvement plan that we discussed at the February work study meeting, which is also attached in your packet. He put those out, the bids out, and we actually received 5 proposals, which is very good.
Yes.
It turns out that, Way and Sons is the lowest, and we're coming in well under what we budgeted, obviously. We are able to do our street improvement program due to all of the multiple funds that we use for this. Our philosophy is to use budgeted funds first and then dip into CIP, because we all know what's budgeted disappears in the next year. So we use budget first and then dip in.
I
So-
like this breakdown of where they're coming from.
Oh, good, good. I didn't put the exact amounts only because due to the fact that the proposal was less than was budgeted, they would have been really wonky, but.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah.
if you want that, you'll get it, once we have the actual bid signed, so. I think, I mean, Kirk is here if you have any questions, all of the proposals are attached, but obviously we are recommending going with Way and Sons Construction.
Williamson has done some work for us here. They did the parking lot across the community center.
That's beautiful.
And they did some asphalt a year ago, or 2 years ago. And they're the ones that laid that asphalt out there, Field Crossing Street for that contractor.
It's always good to have some sort of history,
Great.
because it's a lot of money to spend on somebody that doesn't do a good job.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'll make this motion, Mayor. I'll make a motion to approve the proposed bid from Way and Sons Construction for the amount of $396,217.09 respectively.
A second.
McMahon,
Aye.
Hayes.
Aye.
Beckman,
Aye.
Shield.
Aye.
Motion passed, thank you. New drinking establishment license for Sonora Tacos LLC.
So I would like to remove this for a motion because they were in second today and it didn't go
I
well.
can't hear you, honey.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna remove this from the agenda for, we're gonna wait this one out. It's,
Okay,
yeah,
do we need to make a motion to,
no, we can just
Just
not
take it off?
vote on it. Yeah,
okay,
just.
that's a
stop
bummer.
there.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there.
No, it's not
So-
tabled, it's just,
It's just gone now, yep,
okay.
so we don't need to do anything. And then, so now we have staff reports. Mitch, do you have anything else?
We're at 55 building permits so far this year, a little bit of a slow start, but it's warming up, so everyone should start picking up.
Good.
Lake Marion passed their final inspection for the dorm room, so they got temp occupancy to put kids in there and start changing the old dorms into, offices now. Biggest thing going on really right now is that the new VA clinic is, underway and being built, so kind of our big project right now.
Mhm.
And that is why.
All right, chief?
We still have 2 open positions. We are in the process, we have 2 applicants. So we're moving forward with that. Just completed, active tag training for the school district at the high school last week, and so it has been completed for the school year. And then we've got 2 more, Arista recovery, this week and next week. Busy in that front.
If you wouldn't have promoted, there wouldn't be one open. Good problem to have, I guess.
He's working on it.
All right, Kirk, anything else?
No, we're working on some curb work ahead of the asphalt, just plugging along, trying to get ready for it, so.
When you start putting out your summer, have you already started that?
Summer help,
Mm-hmm.
we're looking,
Are ya?
yeah, we're starting that this week, trying
Okay.
to, we need to hire some summer help, and we've been doing a little work out at campgrounds, trying to spruce them up, reprapping the bank along there, trying to fix things up out there, we've got some complaints and stuff on that, so we're slowly trying to chip away at some stuff out there, so,
The curb looks nice up at the North School.
thank you.
That was
It'll really look good when we get that. asphalt.
necessary, yeah.
That's all,
It's warm a little early, so that probably,
that does help, yes.
Jessica?
I do believe the pool is still looking for lifeguards, so if anybody knows any teenagers, send them.
Or adults.
Or adults.
Yeah, adults, yeah.
Yeah, anyone.
Swimmers of any age.
If you could swim, like,
Or
or
working
watch
the age.
Yeah.
I was a lifeguard for a while.
Well, we're tired.
What's your age group for, how young can they go?
15 is lifeguard. They have to be at least 15. So, yeah, at least 15 a lifeguard, so.
If you drop, then you drop it a year. Only if I got a 15-year-old and she thought she could only work concessions, can she be a lifeguard?
If she's 15, she can be a lifeguard, have her apply. And then Vicky and I are in the middle of payroll, but then after we finish, we're gonna dive back into the employee manual and finish up all of this.
Part two. All right.
Yeah.
You did such a good job of knowing the codes and everything on the building and all of that. And you've got the same thing for human resources. But there'll be more quicker in and out. So just bear with it, it gets frustrating.
Randy?
I don't have anything to add tonight.
Okay. Stephanie? Nothing? All right. Jared, do you have anything?
Last Tuesday, we had a work session, and that work session, probably staff didn't appreciate it, but I know I appreciated it. Lasted for 2.5 hours, and I want to commend city manager, city staff, and the city council. It was collaborative. We discussed a lot of ideas, the stuff that was brought up by the city manager and Mrs. Newton and Mrs. Marler, and Mrs. Reese and Mr. Gabbard. It was spot on, and I walked out of that meeting and I just felt like, wow, it just felt so good. But I want to thank you, city manager, thank your staff, especially thank council and especially the mayor. It was an excellent meeting, and government can be fun, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So.
Thank you. Debbie?
I have nothing. I'm so excited about my father's house. I really am. It's been a journey.
Kathy?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm hard of hearing, as you may know. And if you don't turn those things on and speak into it, I have a real hard time hearing. And I don't know if that's on all the time or not, Chad.
Sure.
Okay, all right. And I wanted to thank Mitch very much for the work he put in for doing this and for welcome to the job.
Excited for it.
Are you?
Leanne, do you have anything? No, nothing else? I have a few appointments, well, handful of appointments, really. And we'll go one at a time.
And why did we do it one at a time?
Because
Appointments need to be one at a time. We could. do the
reappointments, we can
reappointments
bunch together,
So
yeah.
if you want to do the last two are reappointments, you could do those two together.
Yeah, we started doing the new people one at a time, just because it's cleaner for, if there's any discussion or anything. But reappointments, we can, the last two, we can do in one motion if you all would like.
Yeah, they're all for the same,
Same board, yeah.
yeah.
We thought the new ones should probably be on their own, but reappointments we can do together.
So if we just make motions and then second and
Yeah.
going.
So the reason, so the first one is a 2-year term, normally they're 4-year because she's filling a vacancy, so that's why it's like that. So first, consider the appointment of Amanda Martell to fill a 2-year term on the Pala Community Center Board.
I'll make a motion. You want to do it, Kathy?
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to appoint Amanda Martell to the Community Center Board.
I second.
McMahon,
Aye.
Case,
Aye.
Hickman.
Aye.
Shields.
Aye. Thank you all. And then consider the appointment of Mary Tutwiler to the Pala Community Center Board.
I move to appoint Mary Tetwell to the Paola Community Center Board.
I'll second that motion.
Here we go.
McMahon,
Aye.
Case,
Aye.
Hickman.
Aye.
Shields.
Aye. Thank you. Consider the appointment of Janet White to the Pala Community Center Board.
I move to appoint Janet White to the Paola Community Center Board.
A second.
McMahon,
Aye.
Case,
Aye.
Hickman.
Aye.
Shields.
Aye.
All right, thank you. And then consider the reappointment of Trish Osborne and Lacey Drasnick to the Pala Community Center Board.
I move to reappoint Trish Osborne and Lacey Drasnick to the Paola Community Center Board.
I'll second that motion.
McMahon,
Aye.
Case,
Aye.
Hickman.
Aye.
Shields.
Aye.
All right. And just, I appreciate staff and council and everybody showing up for meetings. I know that sounds silly, but I watch a lot of other people. And there's a lot of people that don't show up, so thanks for being here. You don't.
Because I have so much time.
With that, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
McMahon,
Aye.
Case,
Aye.
Hickman.
Aye.
Shields.
Aye.
All right, motion adjourned.